Hi, this is Danny, the creator of Skin Harmonics, the very first Medi-Holistic skin resurfacing method and system. And today I want to unpack dermal nutrients. I want to dedicate a whole little video just for this. I know you guys hear me talking and raving about dermal nutrients a lot, but I wanted to do a deep dive today so that each of you can understand a little bit more. I do often get texts and calls about people feeling very FOMO around, what about this retinol? What about that? What about this? I want to be on retinol. It's a really important ingredient to the skincare industry because it elicits the production of new skin cells. And of course, this is what we're all so crazy for. Like, we love it. We want regeneration. We want life. We want new skin cells. One of the major benefits of having new and fresh skin cells is that the upper layer of our skin is able to hold on to water. And if our top layer of our skin can hold on to water, then that plumps up fine lines, and it just creates like this freshness. The top layer of our skin is always being replaced by our dermal layer. Think of your epidermis as being like a lampshade. And the newer that lampshade is, the more light can shine through. And that's why we all want new skin cells. And of course, how the industry has gone about getting these new skin cells is, of course, all wrong in my book, because the other way besides retinols, the retinol family, to elicit new skin cells is by trauma. Like, anytime the skin is smacked around, peeled, lasered, melted, scraped, all that stuff, it creates new skin cells. However, when you get it from a place of inflammation and trauma, yes, our skin makes new skin cells, but there is an overall diminishing of the dermal layer and a thinning and a weakening of the source that's making the new skin cells. Like, it wears out the mother layer faster. I like to think of the dermal layer, our dermal layer, as being the mother layer, because it is exactly what creates this upper epidermal layer that we see as each other's skin. So in saying that, all the fuss about retinol is because it has the ability to make new skin cells. And I discovered the dermal nutrients years ago, back in 2005, when I had opened up the Skin Sanctuary of Taos, and I was really struggling. And I had a moment, and I call it my moment of the Emperor Wears No Clothes moment, when I had to just admit that even though I was following everything by the book to the score, to such detail, I was actually making people's skin worse. And I went through just a really bad time, because my goal was to make skin healthier, not make skin worse. And so there was a lot of free fall in the time before I admitted that to myself, and when I actually stumbled into the topical dermal nutrients that I'm just so crazy about today. I read a magazine that was dedicated to skin professionals, and it was an article by Dr. Ben Johnson, who is the man who invented these topical dermal nutrients. And the publication said, does chronic exfoliation accelerate aging? And he had a huge article in there, and I read it and was like, interesting, maybe, I don't know. And I got my hands on a lot of the dermal nutrients. I was one of his first bigger orders, found them right away, and I started experimenting with these dermal nutrients. And I had had a lot of experience with traditional retinols before, And of course, with chemical peels, microdermabrasion, like lasers, all that mess. And so I was just floored, absolutely floored at the amount of real regeneration and real remaking of the top layer of our skin, like skin cells just basically flaking off to make room for this huge dose, a new fresh batch of new skin cells that were being made from the absorption from these dermal nutrients. And I was like, how is this person flaking and peeling? I mean, I haven't peeled them, I haven't scraped them, I haven't melted their skin. Like, how is this even possible? And yet it is. And that's why I'm just so crazy about these dermal nutrients. And I went on to find a way to magnify them even more. So to get into the details of retinols, there are 4 different types of retinols, and they were discovered in the 1970s. They are essentially a nutrient that can be metabolized and turned into new skin cells. And the first is a retinol ester. And these are the least potent and they're the most stable. And then you have normal retinol. This is everywhere. It's potent. It's very high with an inflammatory effect, and it creates a really, really intense sun sensitivity. And so in working with retinols, and there's hundreds, different percentages, different grades, medical grade, over the counter, it's very, very hard to find the dose that will get new skin cells, but without inflaming and without causing sun sensitivity. To me, normal retinols are just completely a waste of time. They're not even worth the trouble. So retinoic is what happens to retinol once it's one step before being absorbed by our skin. So retinol is the precursor for retinoic, and then once the retinoic is there, the next phase of it, our skin can use it. And this is what tretinoin is, and it's easily stabilized, and it's very, very potent. But again, it causes a lot of sun sensitivity and a lot of inflammation, even more than normal retinol. And that's why, of course, you have to have a prescription to get it. And then the last type is retinaldehyde, which is what our dermal nutrients are. And there's 2 things about retinaldehyde that makes them amazing. Number 1 is that Dr. Ben Johnson figured out how to stabilize them. Retinaldehyde is by far the most potent out of all of them. However, it's very tricky and pretty much impossible to stabilize until Dr. Ben Johnson figured it out, and he's very secretive about this. He has a machine that packs phosphatidylcholine around it. Like, it's a whole thing, and he spent years doing it, and whatever he did works, because I've experimented and dabbled with other forms of retinol, just trying to see if this is really it. And every time I come back to it over and over and over again, and have for the last 15 years. The other really cool thing about retinaldehyde, which makes it stand out as the number 1 choice, is that an external source of retinoic acid is unusable to our skin. Great, you can just add retinoic acid, but our skin rejects it and it doesn't convert it. Interestingly enough, it just inflames more. But what's so amazing about retinaldehyde in this stabilized form is that it tells our skin to make our own retinoic, which therefore is usable. So it's this biosynthesis that the retinaldehyde causes that gives our skin the ability to make our own retinoic acid and create just incredible amounts of new skin cells. And again, coming from this place of not being beaten down, diminished, overexercised. It comes from a place of like incredible abundance. Any of you guys that have ever had, a lot of you have had my Dermal Nutrients full dose during a session. Oftentimes people literally peel, not because we've wrecked the top layer of your skin the way a traditional peel would work, and then the deep dermal layer has to like work really hard to replace it. It basically, those top layers just naturally are getting pushed off in a way to literally make room for this new synthesis of new skin cells. So it's a completely different way of making new skin cells, because it means that we can fortify our dermal layer, create a thicker, denser dermal mattress that will serve us for the rest of our lives, create more glow. We can minimize dermal thinning. So, and you guys have heard that before. And what I did with the dermal nutrients that I'm always talking about is that I have given them the correct water pad ratio, which I figured out pretty early on that more is not more when it comes to retinaldehyde. Even at high doses, that's just going to piss off skin as well. So you have to create this softness, this permeability in our skin. You have to completely maximize this top layer of our skin and how much water it can hold. Because I think I sent this 2 newsletters back, because that's what gives our skin the ability to like wick in the dermal nutrients, and also that softness and permeability where the phosphatidylcholine is pushing all of those nutrients down into our dermal layer, where there can be full absorption and full metabolization, so that our skin is making the most out of these, they're expensive ingredients. So it's maximizing and just magnifying what these dermal nutrients can do for our skin. And I wanted to just share these details so that you guys can realize that you're not missing out on anything. You guys have the 2024 Tesla when it comes to vitamin A and being on, just an exquisite, most amazing form of retinaldehyde. I think that's what I wanted to share. Just a few little notes. I'm on TikTok now. I spent all last week making reels. Share them if you can. Find me on TikTok. And I think today I launched. And something else that's kind of funny to me anyways is I had a search engine optimization person come in and look at my whole situation with my website, and they were so excited to tell me that I was #1 for Medi-Holistic search word. Like, how could that be? And I laughed because I invented it. Like, Medi-Holistic is my word now that I'm like #1 for in all of the internet world, which is hilarious because it's a word that I invented. So your friends can always find me by typing in Medi-Holistic. And I also wanted to remind you guys that for any of you that can match me with one of your friends and family for my 6-month program, I'm giving away $100 credit as a thank you. And I think that's it. I will make another one of these for you guys in a couple of weeks. And I look forward to connecting with each of you as we text and call each other and see each other in our ways. All right.